Hey, Rick, we had Chris Imel on today, and he's a guru and a phenomenal one. And let's go. What do you think you got most out of this?
First of all, he has a very diverse background, which, the fact that somebody can go and tell people, go to somebody's house after there's been an accident and give them that terrible news just shows he has a lot of compassion, volunteer fireman, that type of thing. But he also, with that, he can talk to people. And I think and he cares about people. And I think that's what shows. Obviously he has tremendous knowledge in real estate. He's a phenomenal agent and he's doing extremely well. So it's just a very interesting guy, I thought, to talk to.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, the stuff that he's been, the jobs prior to what he does now is built him for what he is doing.
I'd agree.
Now he is growing his team, becoming a mentor to other people. And so if you are looking at buying, selling, or looking to possibly get into the business and have a mentor, you definitely need to listen to this.
Welcome to Indy's Real Estate Gurus, your ultimate guide to the dynamic world of real estate in Indiana. And I'm Rick Ripma, your hardworking mortgage guy, and I've been in real estate and mortgages for over 24 years.
And I'm Ian Arnold, a loan officer on Rick's hardworking mortgage team, and we are both with Advisors Mortgage Group. Together, we'll empower you with expert advice, market trends, and successful stories from guru realtors and local experts.
Whether you're a homeowner, investor, or pro, join us as we navigate the thriving Indy real estate market.
Now get ready to unlock the doors of success, one episode at a time.
I'm excited today. So is Ian, I believe.
No,
excited?
no,
Ian's
today.
never excited. He's not excited. We have Chris Imel. And Chris, you're a huge agent. I know you do a ton of listings. But before we get into your real estate, let's go back into your background. Where'd you grow up? Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've lived in Indiana most of my life. Grew up in Columbus, Indiana, Greensburg, Indiana. Moved there when I was in high school. That area. Have pretty much lived in that general area in Indianapolis my whole life. I've done a lot of things, so it's not always been real estate. I've run a lot of restaurants and did a lot of jobs like that. And I'm always that person that's had two jobs at one time. So I've kind of done a little bit of everything. I did get my license first back in 2009. I had them for 3 or 4 years. And to be honest with you, I just really wasn't that good at it. And I don't think I was really ready for the business. So I got out of it and I didn't. I went back to running restaurants and things like that. I'm a volunteer firefighter. I was a deputy coroner in the county that I lived in for a while. So I've done a little bit of everything. And I finally got my real estate license back and really took it serious, and I've done great since.
Well, I got to know.
Yes.
I don't know what a deputy coroner does. I see what they show on TV, but what did you actually have to do?
So as a deputy coroner, you're not the elected official. So there's an elected official in every county in the state of Indiana that's the actual coroner, and the deputy coroner are appointed people that are appointed by that coroner. And so when someone does pass away, and there's any type of reason that may be suspicious of death or anything like that, they are called to the scene, or there's an accident or something like that, and you work the scene, you gather information, you alert the family. I mean, sometimes you are the person who's going to the house to alert the family that something's happened, which I think is one of the things that's given me such a good aspect in this business or any business is I can talk to people at no matter what stage of their life they're at, and I can have compassion no matter what stage of their life they're at. And so I think that's just helped me adapt to be able to talk to people.
Yeah, I would think that's a tough one. I've worked with retired police officers, and they said you never knew how somebody was going to react when you went to the door.
And if you expected one way, it's going to be the total opposite.
Yeah. As it sometimes they'd want to punch you, and other times they'd drop on the ground. I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that must make doing cold calls easy for you.
It's easy. Yeah, that's easy. Yeah, I don't mind the phone calls and the cold calls, and yeah, I mean it's definitely a better aspect than that.
That just sounds like it sounds like a tough job, but what great training.
It was good, and I really enjoyed it. I was on the volunteer fire department for years. As a matter of fact, at one point in time, I was the youngest volunteer fireman in the state of Indiana. So there was a cadet program when I was growing up that you could be 16 to join. And my local volunteer fire department started that. Well, a friend of mine's parents were heavily involved in it, and they allowed me to start it when I was 15. So I started the training when I was 15 through that. So I was on that volunteer fire department for years. And then I got out of that because you just move around. You don't live in a rural area where that's a thing. And then years ago, I got back on it, and that's how I kind of got re-engaged with the other aspect.
So where are you a volunteer fireman currently?
I am currently in Ladoga, Indiana, which is where I live, which is out near Crawfordsville, Indiana.
Okay.
I'm originally, I do a lot more business in Columbus than I do in Ladoga. I kind of joke that I run the L. I run 65 straight up to Indy and 74 over to Ladoga or to Crawfordsville. I get a lot of referrals in Columbus area. I grew up in Greensburg area. So I kind of handle all of the or the central part of Indiana, and then I'm also licensed in Florida.
Okay. Yeah, so you have great knowledge of Indiana because you've been here your whole life and you've kind of lived all over, it sounds like, Indiana, and you've been around, and now you're down in Florida.
Yes.
Also.
Yes. The Florida Panhandle area was where I'm at there. I'm attached to a team down there. Up here, I'm a solo agent, and I do have agents that work with me so that I can get some help and things like that. But down there, I actually went with one of the large teams down there purposely because I needed to learn the area. And when you're going into a new area, you need to become the expert in the area. You can't just assume because you're an expert in Indiana that you're an expert in Florida. So I've attached myself to a very knowledgeable group down there that's also with EXP, and they're a lot of help. And
that's awesome.
Really done a lot of good with them.
Yeah, we've talked to not a ton of agents that are licensed in multiple states now. Is it becoming kind of the thing to do?
I think it depends on the company you're with. So one of the great things about EXP is you have one cap on all the states that you're in. So if I'm licensed in 5 states and EXP has a cap on your commission of what you pay for them, you pay that total for all states. So I don't have a separate cap up here versus down there. Whereas if you're with some of the older style brokerages, you had to join a totally different brokerage down there that weren't involved. So you had dual caps down there. It is a little pricey because you still have to join all the boards and be active in those. And it has to make sense that you're doing it. But I think it really becomes something that if you're thinking of moving to that area or you're in that area frequently enough, it definitely makes sense. Or if you have a lot of contacts in that area, meaning if somebody's originally from Indiana and they have a ton of knowledge here and they move, well, there'll be an agent in the new area that they're at, but they might as well take advantage of the business that they can get here and help their friends. They may not actually be the one showing the houses and things like that, but a lot of times they're still helping their friends with referrals and things like that. Right. I mean, I'll write deals anywhere in the central part of Indiana, but if somebody calls me in Kentucky, whether I'm licensed there or not, I still have the ability to help them because of the networks that I'm involved in.
So one of the things is, you know, I think people don't realize the expense to be a real estate agent.
Oh, yes.
There's a lot of expense, right?
It's a lot of expense. And with me at the stage of my career that I'm at, I'm trying to bring agents onto my team. And when I'm using the word team very loosely, but really, I'm trying to bring agents on that are either struggling or newer agents because I've went through that and I want to help somebody do that. And one of the things that I found is so many people do not understand the original cost that it costs just for that first few months, not talking about what you need to hold back to be able to pay your bills for a few months until you get deals really consistently rolling, but just the upfront cost. I mean, it's definitely a lot.
Yeah, it's expensive. Yes. So when you got into real estate, I know you started and because that's kind of unique. You had 4 years where you didn't do well, then you got out, and then you came back. Yes. So what did you do different when you came into it the second time that has made you flourish like you have?
So a lot of it was, I think, age and maturity. You know, to be honest with you, this was 2009. I didn't really understand what I was doing. I worked for your standard brokerages, you know, that had offices and things like that. There was probably a lot of knowledge in the office, but a lot of it wasn't shared. You know, you had a lot of agents in that day and age that They were trying to build their own business. They weren't trying to help.
Right.
And now I'm in groups that, like, literally when we figure something out, we want to tell everybody. Like, there's no secrets about how I do my business. If an agent wants to know what ads I'm running, what I'm doing, how I'm getting what I'm getting, I do conversations with agents that I don't profit a dime off of every week just to give that information out because somebody gave it to me and somebody understood. It's a lot of collaboration in this day and age with social media, with the way that you can do this. And I think just having that maturity of being back in and doing it. The other thing is when I really took it and started this time going all in, I literally went all in. This was 100%. I wasn't a part-time agent. I wasn't figuring it out. This was going to be it. We were going to make it, and I was going to sink every dime I have into this to make sure that I made it. Because it always bothered me that I didn't before. I knew I was good enough to do it. I just hadn't figured it out yet. And this time I was either going to figure it out or it was going to have to be something that was wiped off the table.
So what are the top 1 or 2 processes that you would tell somebody this is what you have to do to be successful?
Time management is huge because people want to, whatever person you're dealing with, and it doesn't matter if it's a lender, if it's a client, if it's a prospect, everybody thinks they need to be the most important person right there. And it's really easy to answer that phone call immediately or answer that email immediately or at 9 o'clock at night or at 4 o'clock in the morning or first thing when you should be prospecting, when you should be making calls. So you need to make sure that you time block and make sure that you're really allocating enough time to prospecting. But you still have to have time to call those clients back, to follow up on everything. You can't leave them hanging, but you have to designate time. So the way that I do it and the way that I've been successful with it is I get up super early in the morning. And my time to get organized in the morning is that early time in the morning. I go through who's been on my website and I'm sending them emails and text. Now, I'm not sending them text at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm putting them into a system that will automatically send it to them at 9 o'clock in the morning so that they're getting my response at 9 o'clock in the morning. Well, at 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm making calls. So I'm not bothering with that stuff. I've already done it from 4 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock in the morning to be able to allow me to, all my emails are answered before then, and they're delayed so that I don't look like a crazy person up at 4 o'clock in the morning, but they're delayed so that they go out at normal times. But that allows me at 9 o'clock, I'm prospecting. I'm making calls or I'm doing something to increase my business, or I've set aside time throughout the day at other times to do that.
Yeah, I get up at 4 also.
Yeah, 3:30 this morning was the time, and I will tell you, I've not always been like this. This is something that's relatively new for me. I've always a get up and go person, but really being consistent about it has made it so much better for me. I go to bed better, I sleep better at night, and I just get so much more done from 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning till 6:30 in the morning, and there's nobody bothering you. There's no phone calls. There's nobody texting you. You're following up with the emails from day before. And the other thing is, then when my wife gets up or my son gets up and they're getting ready for school, next thing you know, I'm letting the dog out. I'm having coffee with her for 30 minutes before the kid goes to school. We're doing stuff together in the mornings where normally you're busy on your phone. You're trying to respond to all this stuff that you just saw that morning. So I get all that out of the way so that I can have a few minutes of time with them before they head off.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing also is Rick and I do the time blocking too.
Yeah.
But if you let customers know, hey, I'm available most times. The only time I'm not available is 9 to 11, Monday through Thursday.
Yes.
Other than that, if you leave me a message, I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
Yeah.
But 9 to 11, I will not be available. And you let people know, they'll understand.
Yes.
So that's the main thing, especially with time blocking. If you just let people know up front, they'll understand.
And let them know that when you tell somebody you're going to get them something, I mean, this is a lot of things. I don't know every answer. I don't have every answer to every question. But if I tell you I'm going to find it out for you, I'm going to get it to you by first thing in the morning, you have that answer to you. So you're not wondering. And the same thing is that they know when they text me, they're going to get a response back in a reasonable amount of time. I don't leave anybody hanging on that. I think that's important.
I think it helps to have like you have a group of people who, if you don't know the answer, you can find out the answer because and I'm sure they come to you for answers and you go to them for answers because everybody has different experiences, and it's amazing when you're on a good team and you have good mentors how much knowledge is there.
And the things that you think you know, it's a good idea to run past somebody else because you have a small picture of what's happened. Maybe that happened once in your career so far or twice, but maybe this person has dealt with that 10 times and they had 10 different outcomes that can help you with that.
Yeah. Yep. So how would you suggest somebody learn time blocking? Do you have any tricks or?
You have to be adamant with your calendar. You have to use an online calendar. You have to be able to shut whatever it is off that you can't do. But you can't just start with big blocks of time. Okay, you need to start with an hour. Start with 2 hours. Start with whatever that. If you're not time blocking anything right now, time block 1 hour a day. If you're not somebody that's ever made cold calls or prospecting, you can't say that you're going to do it from 8 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock, 5 days a week. You're not going to do it. That's 15 hours a day. You're never going to start that. You have to start with 30 minutes a day. You have to, I set it up so I make so many phone calls and then I do something else. I make so many phone calls and then I do something else. And it might be that I make so many outgoing calls and then I make calls to people who I've already talked to. So that if you're getting the door slammed in your face or hung up on for a half hour, at least you have a good conversation for 5 or 10 minutes to kind of boost your ego. And don't ever end on a bad note. Keep going until you make a good phone call, until you get something. At least a conversation. I mean, not everybody wants to buy a house you call.
Right.
But at least you get a conversation with them.
There was an interview done and they were talking to a personal trainer because he'd have new clients come in. They come in for 15 minutes and be like, all right, you're done. Go ahead. I'll see you. See you next in like 2 days or whatnot. And the one guy was like, why are you only doing that? I go, because if I sit him down for an hour and he feels really hard and it's hurtful, he's not going to come back. Yeah. But if I get him every 15 minutes, after 15 minutes, the first few weeks, he's going to come back. And just because, one, he's used to the routine.
Yes.
And that's what it's about.
Yeah.
And then we slowly intimate the time up so it's not a big drastic change for them.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you have to figure out what you've done. I mean, maybe calling isn't your thing. I'm using calling as an example. Mm-hmm. Maybe you're working your sphere. Maybe you're knocking doors. There's 100 different ways to get business in real estate. You have to figure out the 3 or 4 that work for you and go with those. But you can't do... It's really easy for new agents to find the shiny object that's out there. And so you'll see that somebody on social media said this is going on or this is, and so you stop and you want to run and try that. You have to pick 3 or 4 things to add to be consistent with and go after those. Now, that's not to say not try new things, but you can't just stop what you're doing and then go to that new thing. I mean, I've always got things I'm trying in the background, but it's kind of a test market. Yep. You're just working that.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't want you to have to be making all these cold calls and all that. I want you warm calls.
Yes.
So if somebody's looking to buy, sell, or they're looking for an experienced mentor like yourself,
yep.
What's the best way they can reach you?
My cell phone number is obviously the best way. Call or text, either one. My direct cell phone number is 812-343-3373. Again, call or text that number, 812-343-3373. If you Google me, you're going to find a lot of different phone numbers out there. I've got different area code of phone numbers, but that one is my personal cell phone that'll go directly to me.
And it's easy to remember because it has a lot of 3s in there.
It is.
It does. And he remembered his number, which is really good.
So
I hope I do the same thing.
Let's see your try.
Get a hold of Ian or I. Go to hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's hardworkingmortgageguys.com. Or you can give us a call at 317-672-1938. It's 317-672-1938. That is a call, no text. I need to do a text number. I'll have to get a text number next time.
Yeah, learn to text first.
Yeah, well, I am a little old, so text. I actually do a lot of text. So give us a call. Or go online. You can find all our information at hardworkingmortgageguys.com.
All right. So before I get into this question, I do have, because being from Florida, and we always hear all these agents that then they're doing real estate in Sarasota or Miami, Orlando. What made you choose the Panhandle?
So we want to relocate to that area, and that's the ultimate goal. So when I came back to EXP, I strictly searched for an agent that was in that area that was doing well, that I thought I could learn from, that was networking, that was doing a lot of social media, that was active on video, that was doing things that I really had a desire to do, and I align myself with them. They happen to be in an area that I liked. We go to Panama City for a lot of vacations. It's a quick drive from here. There's a quick flight, a direct flight from Allegiant Air twice a week on Sunday and Thursday down to that area. So if I need to come back home and see my mom, I can do that. And so I think that's important that you go to an area that you really want to live in. Would I love to live in Key West? Absolutely. But is that logistically and financially possible? No, it's not. So we'll take that nice Emerald Coast beach.
No, I mean, it's what is it? Navarre. We had this conversation. Is rated one of the best beaches in the world. I mean, I lived over there, so trust me.
Yes,
it is very nice.
It's
so
gorgeous.
If you're looking for a real estate over there, please contact Chris.
Absolutely, and I'm very active in that area also. I mean, all the way from Panama City up to Pensacola and all up and down the coast there, and inward. Obviously, Crestview and areas like that. There's a big military town there, and the brokerage that I'm with down there is very active in that area. So I would be happy to connect you with anybody down there, if not myself.
All right, so now we're getting one of my favorite questions. So if I got to take away your phone for 24 hours, you cannot work whatsoever. After you get done having a heart attack, what do we catch you doing for fun?
So outdoors, anything that's warm. I absolutely despise the cold weather, hence the Florida. In the summertime, I'm outside all the time. We're on the lake, we're on the boat. I'm a very active Second Amendment supporter, so we do a lot with firearms and training and things like that. So things like that is what I really love. Anything near water, I don't care if you're just sitting on a creek or on a lake or just on a beach. It doesn't matter. That's just calming to me and that's relaxing to me. I don't like to be inside watching TV and stuff like that. That's just not me. But in the wintertime, when it's cold, I don't like to get outside. So that's definitely a different thing there.
All right. So what do you carry?
Glock 19 every day.
Okay.
Yep.
And I think Kimber.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I've carried a Glock for years. It's been very consistent with me. I've done a ton of training, and when I say a ton, I'm talking hours and thousands of rounds downrange. I've trained with some of the best in the area. I had my FFL license for several years, so I'm very active in the community. I was the president of the Friends of NRA chapter in Bartholomew County for several years. So very active in not only myself, but in youth shooting sports. And that's one thing that they donate a lot of money. All the money that's raised there is for youth shooting sports. So it's nice to be able to, at the end of the year, we would sit down and we would go over, and those scholarships would go out to youth shooting facilities and ranges that had youth shooting facilities and that taught handgun training and any type of like hunter safety courses or anything like that to children.
I think I grew up around guns. I grew up in the South, grew up basically redneck style.
Yeah.
So, but one thing and I think that gets lost is the education.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I've had sitting down conversation, even with my 8-year-old boy, is if he goes to a friend's house, I want him to be familiar, but not to be, hey, curious, what's this? What's it? And start playing with it to understand that it's a dangerous object.
Absolutely.
So I do think, and I think that more training needs to be done, especially with kids early on, as you were just talking.
Yeah. There's the NRA has a few videos that are Eddie Eagle videos, and I remember when my wife and I got together, she had a son, and coming to my house, one of the first things that we did when he started coming around was these videos had to be watched. Now, I'm obviously very smart. I keep my guns locked up. I keep things like that. I go through the safety precautions. But if he's going to be in my house, he needs to watch these videos and have a good understanding of what those are. And I think it's important. And it's a cartoonish character, so it resonates with kids. You can start them at whatever age you need to. And really, it's whatever age you're comfortable with. If you're not comfortable with having a firearm in your house, then don't have a firearm in your house. This is not, I'm not here to sell anybody on it. You do you. But if you're going to have a firearm in your house and you're going to have kids have access to your home at any point in time, there needs to be training.
Correct.
Training, and you need them locked up.
Yes, absolutely.
They got to be safe.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a big thing for me. Is you got to keep everybody safe.
Yes,
because you're carrying a gun for your own protection, but you're not doing it to.
No.
And nobody really wants to shoot anybody, right?
No.
And you'd hate to have somebody shot by mistake. I mean, just a terrible
Absolutely.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope I never have to pull the trigger on it in that aspect.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good gun owner.
Yes,
right?
absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
As opposed to, well, we'll let Ian have a gun because, he just wants to shoot him.
And I will say,
No, I only shoot deer. I've shot boar. I mean, animals. But I'm also eating them. I'm not just letting them lie.
There you go.
So,
absolutely.
Well, I want to get on my favorite question,
Absolutely.
which is, what is your superpower or superpowers?
All right. So I kind of thought about this because I know you ask it. And I think a couple, I really have two. And it's really from just past. Being able to talk and communicate with people is really huge because of some of the stuff that I've done in my past. I have the ability to talk to anybody. I don't care what walk of life you're on, what situation you're in or you're going through. If you're living in a $50,000 mobile home or you're living in $1 million mansion, I can still have a conversation with you. If you're going to see me show up most of the time like this, you're never going to see me in a suit and tie walking in there because I want it to be a comfortable environment. Now, if you prefer that, and I know you do, and you're selling $1 million house, yeah, I'll show up in a tux. It doesn't bother me a bit. But I want to dress to the comfort level that you are and that you're going to feel comfortable with because I need to build that relationship. We need to be friends. We're going to spend the next 90 days together, and we need to like each other. And that needs to be both ways. I need to get along with you too. I mean, right. I've turned down clients. I mean, that I know I'm not gonna be the best fit for. So I think the ability to communicate with that, and then really one of the niches that I found is being able to sell a house regardless of its condition. So many people in this day and age are trying to sell their house cash because they don't think they can sell it on the open market, and they're going to investors and they're going to things like that, and they don't have anybody working on their side. And I think it's important that they have an agent on their side. Now, is there opportunity to sometimes sell to an investor and that be the best point? Absolutely. But you still need somebody on your side working for you. And a lot of times you can still list those houses on the market in the condition that they're in. As long as you market them correctly, you can still sell them and still get top dollar for what they are. So I think the ability to, some houses that agents walk into, they're like, you got to do this, this, and this before I'll ever list it. Well, I don't mind that you don't do those things as long as you understand that this is the price it's going to bring if you don't do those things. Some people don't have the money. So I can adapt my marketing to whatever that person needs and whatever fits their need.
Yeah, I think in that vein, there are, number one, you need an agent like yourself who will educate somebody. So even if somebody's thinking about selling it to an investor, they should at least talk to you.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
They should talk to you because they need to learn. There's also financing options.
Yes.
If somebody wants to buy a home and it needs work, you can finance that. Yeah. You can finance homes with renovation loans that you cannot finance under any other terms.
And there are reasons to sell to a investor, to a cash investor immediately. For one is, I mean, if you're losing your house, I mean, you don't know how many people I've talked to that are losing their house next week. Like, it's gone next week and they've procrastinated to this point. Well, the only option we have is that. But at least you've explored every option. And if at least then you have somebody on your side that's going to still help negotiate for you and tell you whether you're getting the best deal or do things like that. Yeah. Sometimes you buy your dream house and you have to sell your house in order to get that. And you don't have time for it to sit on the market or you're going to lose that house. It's a perfect example. But again, you need an agent working on your side because that investor has somebody working on their side. They're not working for your benefit. They're working for their own. So you need somebody working for your benefit.
Yeah. And the other thing that you can always look at is, you're not going to charge them to come out to their house to have that conversation, right?
Yeah, no,
so
absolutely.
Before you even sell it to an investor, why not talk to Chris first?
Absolutely, yeah.
And then be like, hey, look, what are my options? I'm thinking about selling this investor for blah, blah, blah money, and do you think I should do that? And you look at the number and be like, well, I can at least get you $20K extra probably, and you don't have to do anything to your house. And then what are they going to do?
Absolutely.
Shake your hand, hug you, ask you for dinner.
And there's times that they still may look at it and say, I don't want to have somebody walking through my house. I don't want to have that. Well, at least you exhausted those.
Yep.
And I walk away. I'm not pushy. I want to work with people that want to work with me, but I want to educate people who want the help.
Yep. So because you're out there and you can do that to help them out. And this is a great time to put your phone number in there. So what is your phone number?
Yeah. So my direct phone number is 812-343-3373. And that works for Indiana or Florida. So if you're looking at this and you're in Florida, I can do the same help for you down there. Same number, that's going to come directly to me.
And call or text.
Call or text.
812-343-3373.
343-3373.
Okay. See, I just can't remember. So I always got to ask.
Just keep hitting threes.
Yeah,
and
lots
with
of
the random
threes.
number
Pretty
in
much
there.
you'll get it.
Lots of threes. Yeah. I've had that number for years, and I am not letting it go.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes.
All right. So let me ask this question. So you've been in the industry for a while, so you got to have some good stories.
Yeah.
I love stories. So what do you think one of your most memorable transactions were?
You stumped him.
Yeah, you did. You did.
I get a gold star.
He's got a memory like mine.
I think it's not closed yet, but it's closing today, and I think this is one of those so it'll be closed by the time this airs. So I'll go ahead and talk a little bit about it. It was the perfect example. Somebody who was going to sell their house cash was selling to an investor. They wrote the deal with an investor. The investor backed out at the last minute. They had a little clause that they could back out. These people were packed. They were already moving. They'd already moved out of the house except for just beds and items like that. And literally they got a phone call one afternoon and said, we're not closing. And they were supposed to close on a Friday, and this was like a Wednesday. I immediately went to their house, explained to them what I could do for them. We kind of went over the details. They were very apprehensive of throwing it back on the market, but I said that's your best scenario there. So we put it back on the market, ended up way more than what they were going to get from a cash investor. Now, we did run into some problems with the home. There was some structural issues with the homes that needed to be fixed. I got a contractor in there that was able to fix those and able to bill them at closing for that. So it wasn't something that they had to come out of pocket for. They're closing today. The home is structurally sound. It's been fixed. It's warranted. And they literally are walking away with way more money even after paying that than what they were able to. It got them in a better situation. And now they can go on and start something else. And they had bought this home during the middle of COVID time when there wasn't inspections going on, and they'd waived the inspection. And so the problems with the home were before they even had it. So they literally had they thought that everything that they had, they were losing. They were literally losing money to sell to this investor. And the investor backed out, and we were able to sell it, and we got above asking price on that home, and it's going to close today.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. So you being a realtor, Rick and I have our own personal opinion.
Yep.
I want to hear you. That whole COVID waiving inspection.
Lord, no. Lord, no. No, do not. Do not. I mean, I wouldn't buy a house and waive an inspection.
Me either.
I wouldn't. Please do not do that. Unless you know that you're buying a house that you're already gutting. I mean, in that situation, if you're an investor and you're buying a home and I don't say an investor, you're buying your first rental property and you know you're going to go in and gut it. Maybe, but why?
Even
then, even if you lose your earnest money, do an inspection. I mean, even if that's what you've got to do, there's things to do, or get somebody in there to look at this. There's no way. I would never want somebody to buy a home without an inspection.
I've had people come to me and they say, "Yeah, we're getting an inspection. We don't need one really, but we're getting it, but because this house is perfect. We walk through it, it's perfect."
Yeah.
And the inspection is a disaster.
Yeah.
And it's like you can't see behind the walls.
And even if there's not anything on that, even if it's not something that kills the deal, it's teaching you what you need to do over the next couple years to maintain this house, to look for, because most people don't know what first-time home buyers, younger people that have never worked on things, they don't understand the maintenance things. A lot of those things that a good inspector is showing are items that need to be fixed over the next couple of years. They're just routine maintenance. They're not items that kill a deal or anything like that. Caulking around a window and things like that. Those are things that, does a 20-year-old know that you need to do that on older homes? Probably not,
Right.
and it's not that expensive. It's something you can learn to do yourself. Absolutely. Everybody needs to do an inspection. And if they're not going to do an inspection, we have a very strong conversation. I have had them waive inspections, I can tell you my opinion, but I also have you sign something that says that I strongly advise you to get this inspection.
That's what I would do,
Yes,
because
absolutely.
because it's never people. We're all the same kind of this. Not everybody, but it's funny how if something backfires, we all want to blame somebody else.
Sure, yeah, and
so you gotta
we're
protect
likely
yourself.
the one to be blamed, and I understand that.
Yeah, you want to protect yourself.
Yes,
and you
absolutely.
But also, it's not even just that. It's also you want to make sure they really understand. You really, really, really believe they need to have an inspection.
Oh yeah.
Do not waive this inspection.
Because why would I need to sign this? Well, because I'm telling you, I think it's that important that
Yes.
I want that liability
That's right.
off of me.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always interesting. I came from the car business, and you'd have people take the cars get inspected all the time,
Yeah.
but you won't inspect your house.
Yeah.
Whoa, you got your priorities mixed up here.
And your average person is in a home 15 minutes. I mean, if you think about this, your
That's
average
crazy.
showing is 15 minutes. Your car, they're usually driving it longer than that,
Yep.
than they are the home. A lot of people in this day and age, we're going on showings and they're seeing it 15 minutes, and that's the one they want,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. So when you look at your business, what are you really excited about in your business right now?
I've had a great January. I had a horrible December, and when I say horrible, it's December. I had a couple deals fall through at the very last minute and fell out, which hurts. But in January, the first 23 days of January, I had 7 deals under contract.
Wow. Congratulations.
So, yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
been a strong start to the year. My database is growing. I'm getting new agents. I've got one that's taking their test this week that's going to be coming along to help me. Just the progress that I've made to grow to the next level and to see the things that I'm investing money into actually making a difference and getting me to that next level. And then seeing some of the agents that I'm helping, them also getting to that next level is exciting for me.
Yeah, you can't get to the next level doing exactly what you're doing, right? You got to change.
You can. Yeah. You got to. And it takes money. It takes money or time, and I don't have time. So we have to figure out how to make the money.
So I'm curious, with the excitement, everything that's going on, how much of that, or how much value has it been to get up early?
Oh, it's been huge. I can't imagine not getting up early and doing that. Now, is it hard? Absolutely. Is it hard on my home life? Well, yeah, because to be honest with you, my wife is used to me staying up till 11 or 12 at night, and her also. And now I'm like 9:30.
You're going to bed.
Babe, I'm going to bed, and so it's taken a little bit of getting used to, but she knows the goal that we're after, the goals that we're trying to achieve. And to do that, you have to do what people are not willing to do. If this was easy, everybody would do it.
Right.
And not only just easy to do it, but easy to do it and be successful. You really have to do... When you start out, you're your own transaction coordinator. You're your own marketing person. Your own social media person. Your own, everything. You've got 6 different titles that you're doing that you have to figure out how to do. Well, during 9 to 5, I'm a real estate agent. So that's when I'm really doing that. So I have to figure out other times to do that. So it's either get up early, or you're sitting in your office till 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and then you're not seeing your family anyways.
Right.
It's not something I want to do forever. As far as 3:30 in the, I don't know. I'm kind of getting used to it, but I don't want to have to do that. But you have to do it in the beginning to get the results in the end.
Yeah. So I love it.
Yeah.
I would never stop. I love it.
So what you need to do is just train your wife to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. You start doing your stuff. We'll both go to bed at 9.
It's kind of funny because up until about the same time that I really got diehard serious into this, she was getting up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning because of her job. And since then, she's started a different line of work. And so now she is a dog groomer, and she is making her own schedules, and she owns her own business, and we're kind of working into that. So she's got a little bit better schedule. And so the last thing she wants to do is get up early in the morning now.
And besides that, one of the benefits of getting up early is you're by yourself.
Yes.
Nobody's bothering
yes.
you. And it's a wonder. The morning is a phenomenal time of the day.
I've got a podcast playing. I've got something playing on YouTube while I'm doing it, an audiobook, something like that. I've got a couple screen monitors that I'm doing. I'm working through emails. I'm making my list. You know, I always try to make a list before I go to bed of the 3 or 4 things that I have to accomplish the next day. But that morning time is when I really get all that admin work done. Now, obviously, I have a transaction coordinator now. I have a VA that helps me with some stuff. But a lot of times it's double checking what they're doing and making sure that everything went out the way it needs to be.
Right. Yeah, because you still have to run your business.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I got to ask. So have you started putting your emblem and your phone number on little bandanas? So when your wife gets done grooming, she just ties it around their neck and gives it away.
You know, I haven't, but we might be checking for a place to order this. That is a great idea. Yes. Yeah.
Free advertising to a point. So
Pretty inexpensive advertising.
Yep.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is, and everybody loves dogs, and it's great. There's a huge dog show this weekend in Indy, so I will be walking around with a real estate shirt on. So it's nice.
So, in your real estate, do you do much social media?
Yeah, I don't know how well I do it, but I try. I do some TikToks and things like that. You know, nothing's professionally done or anything like that. But I'm active on all social media platforms. I do have separate social media platforms for the Florida real estate so that it's a little bit more designated for those areas and things like that. I don't feel like everybody here, I want to rub beach pictures into them as much as down there.
I don't know. When we had that terrible, it was a few years ago, and I mean it was cold and it snowed and it was. I went and I picked up every show I could watch that was filmed in a warm area.
Yeah,
there was Florida, Hawaii, South America. I did not care. I just wanted shows that showed beach.
Yes, I do that too, and that's why I'm making that transition full time down there. Eventually, is the goal. Yes.
Yeah, but people in Florida don't want to see snow, so
no, they do not.
Maybe they did. They all, I don't know. They all seem to puff out their chests and feel superior when they have nice weather.
Well, it's funny
because they're from here. Go ahead.
I sent a selfie to the broker down there the other day, and it was me walking out, and it was snow, and it was miserable. And I was going to show houses, and it was -4 degrees or something here, and I sent him a selfie. I'm like, oh, this is miserable. You know, I can't wait to get down there, and and he immediately sent me a video message back. That's kind of what we do back and forth. And his was, you're not going to believe this, but we have a vacation plan and we're going to the snow area. So they were going out west to go skiing and stuff like that. So their vacation was going there. And he said, when you get relocated down here, eventually you're going to want to go to those places. And I will not. No, I don't want to. I could go the rest of my life and never see snow.
I can see why you will, somebody does.
Yeah.
Because we want to go to the warm areas because we get tired of the weather. And that's, but I actually like cold weather.
Yeah.
But I get tired of it.
Yeah, I don't like it. But I also do think though that if you're going for a vacation, now this is not me. I don't want to go snow skiing or anything like that. But if you're just going for fun stuff and you don't have to work in it, you don't have to scrape your windows in it, you're not trying to go out and show houses in it, it might be a different approach. I don't even want to find out. I'm good with just figuring out how to get on the beach.
All right.
When I say cold, just real quick, when I say cold, I don't mean -4.
Yeah.
That's beyond cold. Okay.
You're talking
30
chilly.
degrees.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. No wind.
So I got to put your expectations, just so you know, in
Okay.
the Panhandle, it can snow.
I've
I've seen 2 inches of snow in Florida.
And how long did it last?
it was gone in 2 days. But just saying that it can happen.
Here's what I will tell you is on my phone, in my weather app, there are 2 locations that are the first 2 locations. It is our location down there and it is our location up here. And no matter how cold it is up here, whenever I swipe to see what the location is down there, it's always warmer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? It's 0 up here. I could deal with 34. So as long as it's warmer down there, I'm good.
Yep.
Except for they're all used to, when you're down there, you're used to, yes. 70s. But still, it's probably kind of nice to have a little cool weather. Yeah. But it is funny to me how a little cold there. We went down and we were in, what's the beach? Anyway, down on the Gulf side, and Fort Myers Beach, and we went to church, and the priest was thanking the ushers that had been outside, helping the cars park, guiding them in the cold. That was 70 degrees, and we were in shorts.
Rough day.
Yeah, so it's all relative, I guess.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
What is it? Because we lived up here, and then my mom moved down south with us. She got pulled up when we got that snow. She got pulled over, and the cop's like, "No, nobody's supposed to be on the roads." She showed her Indiana driver's license. He's like, "All right, you may go."
Yeah, yeah.
It's just like it's a total different. I mean, the same thing happened in Georgia a few years ago when they got a bunch of snow and ice. It shut down the whole highway. It's crazy.
I was driving through Atlanta one time, and it hit some snow flurries. I'd never seen so many wrecks before in my life. It was just people just sliding off, just crashing. I just wanted to get out of there. I just wanted to get through it. And it wasn't nothing. I mean, it was just flurries. There wasn't even a good ground cover.
Yeah, one you're talking about, they ended up in
Shut
parking lots on the highway.
Yep.
Yeah. I can't, But they also don't have any equipment.
No,
I mean,
they don't
if
have
you get snow in Florida.
Yeah, no, I'm not taking the snow blower with me.
No, there's no equipment.
Yes.
Yeah, you're going to be stuck in your house with an inch of snow. And you're okay with that.
I'm okay with that. Yes.
All right. So do you actually read or anything? Because there are any books out there that new people should probably pick up or...
I am probably the worst at that question because I have Audible and I have like 50 books in there that people have suggested to me, and I listen to them, and I listen to them sporadically. But what I typically go for is more podcast and more just things like that I'm talking to somebody that I know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to hear what somebody in a book said worked 5 years ago or in a certain market or in things like that, which is why I think your podcast is important, is because when new agents are looking at this podcast or figuring out this podcast, these are agents that are on this podcast that people know, that you could call, or you may not know, but somebody does know, and they're giving you real world advice on what's happening in our market. That's really where I focus most of my attention on, is just local stuff or people that I actually have known and trusted. There's a lot of groups that I'm in with the EXP collaboration groups. I think that's great. I follow a lot of coaches. I just went out to Vegas for 4 days for a big Cheplack event, did a private event. He did a mastermind event at his house. There was a group that was 400 of us that went to a 4-day event, and 40 of us got to go to his house for an 8-hour event the day before. And so you're in a room with 40 people that are doing this every day. That's where I get my information. That's where I really enjoy. Now, don't get me wrong, I love a good book to listen to, but I find that I can't stop my mind from thinking of other things while I'm listening to it. So I'll start it and I'm doing stuff. And so I just don't end up finishing it.
Yeah, I find with books, I do a lot of books on tape, but I also read a lot. And the books on tape, I never remember the name of the book because I never see the name of the book.
Yes.
But it does, my mind wanders too, but it's usually something in the book makes me think, I wonder if this would be a good idea to implement. And so it really helps me to actually do that. Same with podcasts. You listen to podcasts that are, there's just there's so much information out there. If you pick the right things, you can really grow. So is being a coach in your future?
Not to the level of saying I feel like I'm not there, and I want coaches, but being a mentor, being a collaborator with somebody, absolutely, I would love that. All of my career, I've always had a leadership position, so it comes naturally. But I think that me more connecting with somebody that's new with a better coach than me, with somebody that's doing it, and then maybe me mentoring them in that aspect is more along my lines.
What is one thing that you wish you had known or were taught when you first got into the business? Can you remember that far back?
Yeah. I think just that it's not rocket science. It really isn't. It's all about numbers. It's all about the connections that you make, and it's about genuine connections. If you're in this to make a commission, you're going to fail. I am in this because I legitimately get joy from seeing a new home buyer buy a home, their first home, from the excitement of doing that. I like doing this. I like showing houses. I looking at new houses. I like talking to new agents. I enjoy it. The commission is something that comes in the end of that. If you're focused on the amount of commission that you're going to make or the amount of money that you're going to make in this, you're starting it wrong, and it's never going to work. And I think a lot of agents get into it because they see a dollar amount that they think that we make, and it can be that dollar amount, but they don't know the expenses that go into it. They don't know the amount of time that it takes to get that. And I think that if you just go in it with a genuine want to help people, you will be successful.
So should we, well, I'm going to ask this. Tell, because you're with going to Florida. So how do you think that's going to, or maybe it doesn't because you've already been there. How is that going to change your business?
It's dramatically going to change my business. So I'm already working hard down there to get business. It's essentially starting over. You know, I'm essentially the new agent in Florida, and so I'm having to rebuild this reputation. Now, the difference is I've figured out how to build a reputation up here and how to actually do things up here. So I'm relying upon that. But it's a slow and steady split. The goal is June 1st for me to be more in Florida than I am in Indiana. But I'm putting practices in place so that I've got a team up here that can handle it. And then I'm up here more frequently than what I need to be, you know, so I may not be the person that shows you a home every single home showing that you're in, but I'm still going to be heavily involved in that transaction for guidance and things like that. Much like down there right now, it's just the opposite. I hardly ever show a home down there, but I'm still heavily involved in any transaction that goes on down there. So it's just balancing that act, and it's making sure that you have people that have this right mindset as you do and that have the client's best interest at heart in both locations and the ability to do that.
Yeah. And like you said, every Tuesday and Thursday there's a straight flight.
Yep. So I can
Sunday and Thursday.
Sunday and Thursday. Yep. So I can fly back on a Thursday, spend the weekend here, fly back down there on a Sunday, or vice versa, whatever I need to do.
That's like perfect.
Yeah, it is. And it's in Allegiant, and if you book it, I mean, they're like $50 a flight. I mean, you can't. I blow more than that in gas money.
$50 a flight?
Yeah, $47 a flight. Yeah, one-way flight.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see him coming though in December, January, February.
No, it's got to be you got to be a really good client for me to come back and
I'm sorry, it looks a little cold there.
You might get stuck here.
And I think during COVID time, it did teach us that we can show homes in a different manner, that we can do things in a different manner.
Yes.
Now, there's certain things you can't skimp on. You can't skip on the inspections. You can't skip on the appraisals. But there's ways to do things that you can articulate to this. I know a gentleman that's doing this very well. He does not show any homes. He's doing several $1 million in sales a year, and he literally does not he doesn't do a single showing. His is all through Zooms and through things like that. I don't want to get to that point because I still want that personal connection, but there's nothing wrong with me pairing you with a partner agent in this area that I've groomed, that I've helped do what they need to do. The other thing is, if I've got 5 or 6 partners that are working in this area, even today, if you called me today and said, I want to see a home in an hour, I'm busy today. I don't have time to show you a home in an hour today, but my partner does. Right. So I get the ability of when you call your normal agent and say, I want to see this home, they're trying to jumble you into their schedule. I'm trying to jumble you into one of my people's schedules.
Right.
So I can a lot of times get somebody into a home way faster than what an average solo agent can.
Yep. All right. So the last question, and I didn't ask this earlier, but it's all right.
Okay.
The question of the week, though, we always ask.
Okay.
What was your first car?
Chevy S10. Yes.
Nice. Nice little pickup truck.
Yep. It was my dad's truck before that. He got a new one, and I got it when I was about 14. He still obviously drove it then, but we did some work to it and had it nice and ready to go by the time I turned 16.
And you never drove it before you turned 16 and got your license, I'll bet.
I mean,
he did drive out. He was out in the country.
And we lived in the country, and definitely we drove beforehand. Yes, absolutely.
I kind of saw that answer
coming. Yeah. I've been driving for a few years. Yeah.
That's all right. That just made him safer when he got on the actual roads.
That's true. So, last time.
Yep.
What is the very best way for somebody to get a hold of you if they want to buy a home in Indiana, they want to buy a home or buy or sell a home in Indiana or Florida, or maybe they're looking for a great team, great mentor to work with. What's the best way to get a hold of you?
My direct cell phone number is always the best. 812-343-3373. Call or text me anytime. I mean, even if you're an agent that's got questions, that's the best number to reach me. I'd be happy to chat with you about what I'm doing and how I can help you. If you're looking to buy or sell, obviously I want to help.
And perfect.
Yeah.
And to get a hold of Ian or I, go to hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's hardworkingmortgageguys.com. Or you can give us a call at 317-672-1938. It's 317-672-1938. That is a call, no text. And please follow us for more Indy's Real Estate Gurus.
And reminder, if you have any friends, family, or coworkers looking to buy, sell, refinance, let us know. We'll be more than happy to help you. Chris, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
You.
It was a good time.
Yeah. Your stories and what you're doing is phenomenal.
Thank you.
So you'll be a great mentor.
I appreciate it.
Branch NMLS number 33041. Rick Ritten's NMLS number 664589. Ian Arnold's NMLS number is 1995469. Equal housing opportunity. Some restrictions apply.